Today we are going to take a look at some of the forms that we've been practicing, and we're going to transform them from one into the other. We've already done this with standard form to product form, but today we're going to be working with the roots from a graph and taking a picture of that graph and then rewriting it into standard form. And we're also going to be able to change vertex form and go ahead and change that into standard form as well. So let's go ahead and jump on in and get to work. So we are going to be rewriting equations. Okay, and like I said, we're going to do two different ways to do this, two different types. The one that we're going to use more frequently is getting your equation from the roots. Get your equation from the roots. Now remember, we can call them roots, we can call them zeros, we can call them x-intercepts, or we can call them solutions. So whatever we're talking about where the parabola crosses the axis. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick sketch of a parabola. We're going to do our traditional 5, -5. We're going to go all the way down to 20 on our y. -15, -20. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to plot what we would then search out on ours. So we're going to go ahead and have one of our roots be at the ordered pair 2, 0, and our other root is going to be at -6, 0, and -2, -16 is going to be our vertex. So we're going to go ahead and make that smooth parabola. So as we're looking at this, or if we see this on a table and we see where those roots are, remember it's when your y is 0. Your first step is to pull out the roots. And like I said, if it's in a table, you're going to go ahead and take them out that way. And you're just going to set them up as x equals to what those roots are. So over here, we have x is equal to -6. And we have our other one, x is equal to +2. So that's your first step, is simply to write down what those roots are. Now our second step is to put into product form. Now, what we mean by that is very simply, we're going to set it up in our parentheses, but in our parentheses, we're going to have the opposite of the x's. Because remember, you solved, set them equal to 0, so they ended up being the opposite. So we're going to go ahead and set this up as y is equal to, our first root was -6, so that's going to be x plus 6. Our second was +2, so that's going to be x minus 2. So we've already gone ahead and transformed our picture into our product form. Step number 3, multiply using the outside of a generic rectangle. So as you can tell, we simply have binomials, and we've been doing these since the very beginning of the year. We're simply going to multiply those two numbers together, those two products. So we have x and 6 And going up the side, we have x minus 2. And we're going to multiply, 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 multiply. X times x is x squared. X times 6 is 6x. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. And negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Now we are simply going to write this combining like terms. So we have x squared. 6x minus 2x is positive 4x. And then we finish with our constant minus 12. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is now in standard form. So that is how, if we have the roots, we can go ahead and change it into standard form by first putting it into product form and using the outside of a generic rectangle. We're going to go ahead and graph this in Desmos. So we had our product form, y is equal to x plus 6 times x minus 2. And take a look. We have our root of negative 6, our root of 2, and our vertex of negative 2, negative 16, just like we did on our original graph. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure we're correct by doing it in standard form, what we got for our answer. Y equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. And as you can see, they are the same parabola. Therefore, we know that we have a correct answer, and we changed our equation from simply knowing the roots, seeing a picture of it, into the proper equation. So that is our first technique. Now, our second one, we are going to change our from vertex form, which we learned last class, to standard form. Okay, so we're going to start with a problem in vertex form. Y is equal to 2 times the quantity, x minus 3 squared minus 8. Okay, so step number 1 is to multiply the binomial. And our binomial is this part of our equation right here. So we're going to set up, once again, a generic rectangle. And we're going to multiply just the binomial, x minus 3 times x minus 3. Because remember, when you have something squared, it's the number times itself. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. We're going to go ahead and combine like terms. And we have x squared, negative 3x, and negative 3x is minus 6x plus 9. Okay, so what we are now going to do in step number 2 is rewrite first equation and replace. Rewrite and replace. So what we did is we used the generic rectangle to find out what this is right here. And we found out that x minus 3 squared is equal to this. So we're going to rewrite this equation in blue, but when we hit that box, we're going to substitute it with what it is equal to. So we have y is equal to 2 times the quantity, x squared, now we're replacing, minus 6x plus 9, and then we finish with minus 8. Okay, step number 3 is distribute. So we're going to take what's on the outside, which is a 2 here, and we're going to multiply it by each of these items on the inside. So 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. 2 times 9 is positive 18. And then we need to go ahead and write the rest of our equation, which is minus 8. Okay, step number 4 is CLT, combine like terms. So as you can see, the only two that we have that are like terms that aren't combined yet are our constants at the end. So we have, for our final answer here, we're going to add that y equals on the end again. Y is equal to 2x squared minus 12x, and then 18 minus 8 is positive 10. And now notice that we have our answer in standard form. Okay. So we knew from here that we have a vertex of 3, -8. Remember, the opposite of the inside and the outside as the same. We now also know that we have a y-intercept of positive 10. So let's go ahead and check these two different forms and show you that they are indeed the same parabola. So our equation was given us y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared minus 8. Okay, and notice we have our vertex there, our lowest point in this case of 3, -8, and we can see that from vertex form. We then solved it in standard form using that generic rectangle, and we got an answer of 2x squared minus 12x plus 10. And once again, as you can see, these two are indeed the same parabola. And we have all of our different items needed. We have our roots, we have our vertex, and we have our equation written in more than one way. So once again, we're not changing the parabola. All we're doing is changing the form. Our next lesson, we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what is the easiest way to solve depending on what form you're given, knowing that we can transform our parabola from one form to the other. Let's go ahead and practice on our daily Desmos activity.